Well, another August night that's clear and relatively moonless, and I'm going to see a few meteors or shooting stars this weekend, maybe even this week. Hello, everybody. I'm Stargazer MarQ. So glad that you joined us to stay star curious today at the American Space Museum's video podcast. Stay curious. Glad that you're watching today. Of course, most Mondays we do backyard astronomy, things that you can see from your own backyard, and they're getting less and less because of light pollution. But we want to talk today about a meteor shower that most all of you are familiar with, that August meteor shower called the Perseids. And they are this weekend, specifically Sunday night to Monday morning. So if you get up Monday morning at 2 in the morning and lay out under the starry realm, you're going to see a bunch of meteors streaking through the sky, a shooting star or two, as they call it. And we're going to talk about putting a falling star in your pocket, making a wish, and saving it for a rainy day here in just a minute. So glad that everybody's here today. I've been doing stargazing for all my life. It's something that I think is very good for the soul, particularly when you're have an off day perhaps and you just get out instead of in front of the TV, sit in a lawn chair and look out under the stars. Of course, you need to have a star map to understand what's going on, and there's one called a planisphere. You want to have be comfortable out under the stars of the summertime. That means bug spray, maybe a favorite beverage or snack beside you, and maybe the radio or something to occupy your time. But I love listening to the sounds of the neighborhood and just hearing the dogs bark, cars start, doors slam, all kinds of activity in the sky. And then when you look up on an August night, you're going to be amazed at the number of satellites that you see. Of course, you're going to see a lot of airplanes. They're going to blink and have colored lights on them and go in different directions. But a satellite's going to be about the same brightness and keep going straight in the same direction that you're seeing it in. And there's apps that will help you find the International Space Station, the Hubble telescope, even the Chinese Tiangong space station I've seen with an app on my cell phone. So just a few other things. A red flashlight that I don't have near me, and that's okay. When you're looking at a star map, your eyes get dark adapted as your eyes dilate, like they do in your bedroom when you go to bed and turn your lights off. Um, you don't see anything, and then a few minutes later, you see everything in the room. Well, that's like if you let your eyes dark adapt to the night, you're going to see fainter things in the sky. And the star map will help you find that. You don't even have to invest in anything. Here's a few great books that you can find at your library, constellation guidebooks, or or can be found even for $1 or two. This guidepost to the stars, written by Leslie Peltier in the 1960s, is still applicable because the stars don't change. All right. They have stayed in the same positions for thousands and thousands of years. There's only a few stars that we even notice that have changed their positions in the last 5,000 years. But most books have a star chart in it with details of the starry things that you can see inside that. Um, uh, the Inside the boundaries of the constellations, what I'm trying to say. As I'm looking around for my star map here, that did I print one out? Yeah, I did print a couple out of the uh, they must be under here. Yeah, there they are. There's my star map. Thank you. Got Logan Cope here running the board. Marty Winkel's on a well-deserved vacation. I'm going to take a few days off in 2 weeks, uh, and we'll let y'all know about that. But yeah, Marty's on a vacation up in his homeland of Long Island, and we may talk to him later in the week from one of the museums that he intends to go to. One thing that you can do, like I said, I've been doing this a long time, so I don't need a lot of notes to talk about the Perseid Meteor Shower, but I'll be looking down at some here occasionally to keep the flow going. Got my vest on here. I got my ARS hat on, which is the the Australia Research and Science Exploration. That's their NASA. Right there, it says Australia Research and Space Exploration inside there. Can't make that up. And thank you, Cliff Watson, Pomona, Australia resident. Been in our studio twice now to talk about his love for space and astronomy. And he gave me this hat off top of his head. So thank you, Cliff. Uh, I've been doing this a long, long time. And I found a photo of me 30 years ago harvesting pictures. That's 1995, I mean, February 1995. I'm giving a uh, solar system demonstration to a school group. The young girl there's got Saturn above her head. The boy's holding Jupiter. I've got Earth and Venus in my hands there. And just so I thought I'd throw that out there. I always like reassuring that I had dark hair at one time there, but it's always been a fun part of my life, stargazing. I've enjoyed communicating it with people, but I've enjoyed just being out under the stars, like taking a star bath at night. And I'm serious about that. There's people that say you need to walk around naked once in a while and have an air bath, so to speak, to cleanse your body. Of course, we swim in the ocean, but being under the stars and just letting them absorb on your body and contemplate who's looking back. We know now that almost every star in the sky is going to have planetary systems going around it. We call them exoplanets outside of our solar system. Yet, these stars in the picture here, they're filled with planets orbiting them, just like our star. And there you have a falling star that's exploding at the very end of it, right there. You see that explosion, that lighter mark. This is a streak of a Perseid meteor that might be the size of a grain of sand, probably a little bit bigger, more like a pea or a blueberry. As it blew up, it popped apart right there at the end with the friction of the Earth's atmosphere after maybe wandering millions of years in our solar system. So having a chart to help you understand what you're looking at and make the dots to find the galaxies and nebula and popular items that astronomers hunt is essential. And you get familiar with the roadmap of the stars by downloading skymaps.com. Has this beautiful map for free that I share with you every month. This is the August 2024 map. The blue is the Milky Way going through our night sky. And this is regular. This has the Polaris is not in the center. Polaris is up at the top. Okay, and you see the pointer stars of the Big Dipper. You see the handle of the Big Dipper goes to this star I'm pointing right there, Arcturus. Over by Arcturus is Hercules. I'm going to show you a close-up of Bootes that looks like a kite, doesn't it? Or an ice cream cone. Yeah, thank you there, Logan. And then to the left of it is a square with arms coming off of it. That's Hercules, like SpongeBob SquarePants. Between the two of them is the Corona Borealis, all right, the crown in the sky. And there's a star that we're waiting for to explode there. So you want to keep looking up at the night sky and seeing if there's an extra star there that you didn't see before, all right? And, of course, through the Milky Way, we've got the great star systems of Sagittarius, Scorpius, Cygnus the Swan, Lyra the Harp. And we'll talk about those on another Backyard Stargazing because we want to talk about Perseid Meteors tonight. But on the chart, today is new moon. Okay, actually yesterday was new moon. Sunday, August 4th, new moon. And then tonight, Venus is 1 degree north of Regulus. All right, and then and the moon, crescent moon, Venus and Regulus, the bright star in Leo the lion, are within a almost 3 degree diameter circle in the sky. Right after sunset, you'll have to look at that. Again, on the 10th, the moon is near Spica, okay, in the northern hemisphere. And that is but the first quarter moon is Monday, okay? So that means that the moon is going to be setting before the Perseid meteors peak, and that's a good thing. It makes it very favorable. Later on in the month, Mars is going to be real next to Jupiter, within a half a degree of that. Okay, and when we talk about degrees, your eyes start glazing over, because what is a degree in the sky? Well, your little finger, fully outstretched arm, is a half a degree across. Directly overhead is 90 degrees. The horizon is 0, so 90 and then another 90 to make 180 from horizon to horizon. Your three fingers, the Scout's honor sign, is up 5 degrees of the sky. So when we talk about on the 14th of the month, Mars is 0.3 degrees north of Jupiter. You can cover them up with your little finger. Okay, that's 0.5 or half a degree. All right, or 1 degree basically, and you can cover up the moon all the time with that little finger outstretched. The Scout's honor sign is 5 degrees. Clenched fist covers about 10 degrees of the sky, and take your fingers like that, and you're going to cover about 15 to 20 degrees of the sky. And there's the Big Dipper down there also to show you that. Very important for your mind's understanding of, if you're looking at your app and it says the International Space Station will begin to be seen at 10 degrees above the horizon, oh, that's my fist extended out. So right above there, where it's saying in the northeast, look for it right there to come in. And if it says 20, you just go 10 and 20, all right, degrees, and put your face out there, line it up, and you'll figure out where objects are in the sky. So very important to understand a little bit about your directions in the sky and distances in the sky. And then the second most important factor, besides it being clear and not cloudy, is where is the moon in the sky? Because the moon is so bright when it's in its phases after first quarter and between first quarter and last quarter, is so bright that most of the faint objects that we enjoy seeing, like nebulas and galaxies and other fainter stars, are blotted out. The moonshine is too bright and you don't see things at night. Now, you can see the brighter stars above third magnitude, and a lot of the constellations we talk about have a lot of first, second, and third magnitude stars in them. So you can see the dot to dot of Bootes, the herdsman, that looks like an ice cream cone even during full moon. But it's harder to see objects and get your bearings, so all attention turns to the moon. And but the moon right now, with full moon, new moon being yesterday, today's moon is a 1-day-old moon. All right, and then Monday will be 2 days old, and you probably won't see it tonight because it's so close in the twilight. But tomorrow night you might see a thin crescent. But I know Wednesday night you're going to see the crescent moon in maybe Earthshine, as you see in this photograph of my late friend Farrell Snyder looking at a pair of binoculars, which is another excellent tool to get used to using our binoculars in the sky. But there's your moon there, and you can see barely the outline of the moon. That's called Earthshine on the dark side. That's actually light reflecting off the Pacific Ocean, hitting the crescent moon there. And so go out and check that out. Get a beautiful photo of it. Like it's easy to set your camera on a tripod and experiment with some different exposures there, and maybe take one like this to remember a friend by. And I certainly do remember this evening of stargazing with this gentleman who's gone to the stars ad astra, Farrell Snyder. And by Thursday or Friday, the moon will start looking like this. And along the edge is called the Terminator. Nothing to do with Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? The Terminator is where the area between night and day is on any object, including the Earth. We call that twilight, all right? Morning and evening twilight. But if you could look from the Earth, you'd see the Terminator racing across like that. It changes by the minute. Here, it takes days for it to change on the moon because it's a 28.5-day cycle. Let me have a sip from my cup here. That in fact, Marty got me. It says, caution, may randomly start talking about astronomy. And you know it, folks. Okay. Wound up here for Perseid Meteors. But before we get to that, I did mention that all the astronomy community is looking between the constellations Hercules and Boötes. And you can find Arcturus and Boötes by taking the handle of the Big Dipper, arcs to Arcturus, and then you speed on to Spica down there at the bottom. Okay, you see Spica down there. We go. Yeah, Spica's at the very bottom there. And those stars are now on the western part of the sky. They've crossed over the celestial zenith, 90 degrees over. Now they're on the western part of the sky. And between them, Arcturus over here, the constellation Boötes, and Hercules is Corona Borealis. It looks like a U-shaped group of stars there. And on the far left-hand side, it'll take my name off there a second there. That we're looking right there for a star that will predictably erupt and get brighter. Naked eye brightness. It's not visible right now, but it'll be brighter than Gemma and Nusakan there. All right, two of the brightest stars in the northern crown. So glance up there with your binoculars, see if it looks any brighter. I'll be telling you one day and showing you a picture where some amateur astronomer in their backyard took a picture of it flaring up. This is a predictable period of, I think, 18 years or something like that, where this known star goes through a cycle of actually emitting. There's two stars involved sucking off material off one onto the other. So fun to know about that stuff. And keep your eye, because things are changing up there. But at any time, you can see a shooting star. But the Perseid meteors are one of the most famous of all. There's a famous song sung by Perry Como that goes something like, catch a falling star, put it in your pocket, never let it fade away. Catch a falling star, put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day. A hit song by a old crooner of the 50s and 60s, Perry Como. Well, stargazers, get ready to see a perfect opportunity for some shooting stars. Everybody knows that meteor shower in August, and you probably have a memory or two of camping out during the summertime with scouts or the family and getting away from the campfire and seeing these annual celestial fireworks. Well, meteor showers are brief 1 or 2 day events. They can linger on for over a week when the Earth plows through the thickest part of a stream of particles circling the sun. And there are many of these streams of particles going around the sun, and they come from comets and that have deposited their part of their material in space as they come close to the sun. The sun basically melts them, and the solar wind blows their debris off and gas off into a tail. Well, cosmic debris from old comets and even smashed asteroids are mostly the size of a grain of sand or salt, but when they smash into the Earth's atmosphere at 30,000 miles an hour, they're burned up by friction instantly, okay? And thus we see meteors like this one that was probably the size of, a small stone maybe, because then when it hit the atmosphere, it heated up, and then the pressure blew up the mass of it there into a bright star or a shooting star. Photographs like these that you might see are done by photographers that really know what they're doing. This is maybe 25, maybe 100 different frames combined to show you the Perseid meteor shower. Looks like it's coming from, if you would draw all of those meteors back, they come from one point. And you can also see the Milky Way there in this beautiful photograph taken. Looks like there's water where that tent is, but this is all a setup shot by a photographer using maybe 50 different images to combine them there. Of course, the larger objects can make the ground, and when they do, we call them meteorites. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. Oh yeah, here's, let me bend down there. I was getting my meteorites. I have a couple here that show you some ways to get them there. But there, let's go. There we go. You can buy meteors for very inexpensive. They're sold by the or meteorites. They're sold by the gram. All right, and this one comes from the collection of the late Mike Reynolds, who I got to know, and he passed away. This is a meteorite of iron that was found in Nambia in 1938, according to the card there. This one was found in Chile in 1984. Okay, 25 kilograms of this was found. The Vaca Muerta, and then the Gibeon. These are all famous meteors that had tons of it fell. So collectors will buy a pound or two and then resell them to you. Of course, that's a green card there on the back. So some real meteors right there, falling stars or shooting stars, so to speak. And we'll talk about the different names we give them here in just a minute. Meteors have actually been recorded streaking across the night sky of Mars by NASA landers. And the rovers Opportunity and Spirit, as well as Perseverance and Curiosity, have drove up to meteorites on the Martian surface. One was the size of a football. Okay. And I think that's the one they called Marquette meteorite. Can't make that up, but there was a Marquette meteorite found on that was named after the person named Marquette that found it. So of course they're going to burn up in the atmosphere of Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. But as you look at the surface of Mercury, it is just pelted with cosmic debris that hit it in the form of craters. We look at the moon without an atmosphere. That's what the Earth would look like if we didn't have an atmosphere. Or we would have a lot more meteor craters like up in Arizona on our Earth if there wasn't any erosion of oceans and so forth. Satellite photography has shown us meteorites in Canada, Siberia, other areas of the world that we didn't know these structures were actually impacts from asteroids millions and maybe a billion years ago. Well, Perseid meteors seem to emanate from the constellation Perseus, and that's an optical illusion. It's like watching snowflakes or driving rain hit the windshield of a car traveling down the road. The snow or rain comes from a point straight ahead, but the car is really plowing through participation that is falling straight down. And there is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Imagine you're inside this car in a snowstorm and everything looks like it's coming from ahead of you up there. And these street lights are the stars of Perseus, so to speak. So everything looks like it's emanating out of Perseus in the sky here as we go back there. That's where you get the radiant, all right? And I finally found a picture to describe what I've seen many times in Ohio growing up, or rain anywhere coming through the car like that. So so that's where these get their names, all right? And the Earth is moving around the sun like a race car driver around an oval racetrack, or almost circular racetrack, let's say. So there's different parts of the racetrack. Let's say we're in turn 1 right now when we're going through the Perseid meteor shower. When we get over to turn 2 in our orbit around the sun, we'll be going through remnants of another comet, and that might be the Orionid meteor shower. And we get over to turn 4 in winter, our position winter in our solar system, we're going through the Geminid meteor shower, one of the biggest ones. So it's all what the optical illusion of where we're at. And again, like going through a snowstorm in a car where you see the radiant ahead of you, or even going across a bridge that's got bugs flying around the bridge because there's water there. You'll get a whole bunch of bugs splatting in your windshield, and then just 100 yards later, there won't be anything. Space debris is accumulated in clumps in our solar system everywhere, and occasionally we plow into it. Predictably, too, there's about 15 meteor showers, more than one a month, that are predicted that we go into. Well, the Perseids, let's go back to them here just a second. The Perseid meteor showers are the remains of a comet named Swift-Tuttle, which orbits the sun every 130 years and was last seen in 1992. So it'll be back in, 130 plus 92, okay? You do the math, that's 21. Well, I'm not going to do the math. It's 92 be 21, 22. Yeah, 21, 22 is when that comet will be by again. This is the most dependable and prolific of 10 to a dozen meteor showers a year that yield 20 plus shooting stars an hour during their peak. Okay. Known to be bright and fast meteors, the Perseids can rain down at more than one a minute when the peak is observed. All right, let's talk about different, what we call them here in just a second. I'll talk about them specifically here in just a second. But meteors, asteroids, and comets are three different things. Meteor actually means of the sky, okay? Comet means hairy star, all right? And asteroids weren't known to the ancient world. Aster is, of course, Greek for star. So it's a staroid, technically. Asteroids are debris of a planet or small planet that smashed up, or pieces of planets that were eroded or busted into in our asteroid belt. There's a lot of rubble in between Mars and Jupiter. However, that rubble wouldn't even make up a planet the size of our moon, which is over 2,000 miles, or 1/4 of the Earth's size. But a meteoroid is what we call an object in space, whether it be the size of a grain of dust or a football or half of a house size. It's called a meteoroid. When it enters the Earth's atmosphere and burns up, it is a meteor. All right. Now, a fireball is an extra large meteor that starts burning up and breaking up and could explode. A bolide actually is a rock that does explode because the pressure is just so great as it comes in, and it's so big, it just destroys in a big bomb-like explosion. So every August 12th, you can depend on the Earth going around the sun. In August and February, we're on the opposite side of the sun. All right. When we're over here crossing Swift Tuttle, we're above or below the plane of the comet. All right. It's like we're looking at the debris from way up above and not getting much of it there. So, but we're going right through it for a couple days from August 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. And after midnight is the best time to look out, because again, when you're looking out your windshield, like we looked at here, okay, you don't see this effect when you're looking out the side windows or the back windows, all right? So the back windows are during the daytime. We're not going to see any. The side windows are like from sunset to midnight. You might see a few whizzing by you, sort of thing. But when the Earth is turned around in its orbit into the Earth, into the direction of our travel, as we're going to turn and see the sun within a few hours, the morning is when you get the most converging radiant effect and see the most meteors. So after midnight's always the best time to see a meteor shower or catch a few stray meteors here and there. And it's always exciting to see them because they flash by just so quickly. All right. Just like this Perseid meteor here, that I had the time exposure open not very long, okay, because I knew I caught this meteor. Up above is the Pleiades star cluster. You got, there's the Pleiades way up there. Right below the circle is the V of Taurus the Bull. That's the Pleiades right there. Orion's just rising, all right. And Perseus is in the upper left-hand corner where this came out of there. But there's, and you can see colors and Perseid meteors, though flashing like a needle, bright meteor streaks with light, and then you see a smoky trail. That's called a train, and that smoky trail is the vapors off of that. Once in a while, you even see a curlicue of those vapors as upper atmosphere whips it around. Very, very unpredictable what you're going to see from night to night. Once again, you have a comet that is an icy, rocky body that we see when it gets close to the sun and the sun strips off in a tail the gases and the debris. An asteroid we will see come by the Earth occasionally, but they have no tail. And if an asteroid hits the Earth, we are in trouble. Then a meteoroid is something small, basically the size of 100 yards or under. When it hits our Earth's atmosphere, it's a meteor, and when it lands on the ground, it's a meteorite. So, as we're looking at the beautiful radiant of a meteor shower with multiple experience, this is not one image, this is dozens of images against the background of stars. No special equipment is needed for meteor watching, just a pair of eyes to scan upward from a comfortable chair. Recline your head towards the direction of the rising star pattern of Perseus. So if you put your head to the east, you're going to see stars streak over you as you're laying out in your backyard. Instead of looking towards the east, you're more likely to miss ones that streak overhead because, as you see, they're not going to come exactly out of the center of the radiant. You want to be away from light pollution. In observing a meteor shower with a few friends is a fun fellowship like any stargazing event. A streaking meteor captured by a dozen pairs of eyes will unite those 6 people for a brief instant as they share something truly cosmic pass before their eyes. And just hearing the oohs and ahs and even a few yelps and squeals of delight from a really bright meteor makes it all entertaining and a night unforgettable. I've been in the mountains of Tennessee, many Perseid meteor showers, and on one side of a mountain, and hear people a mile away or 2 miles away on the other side of the valley on the mountain across from me, hear them yelping and hollering as we all seen the same meteor and yelling back, wow, we saw that, that type of stuff. So it's really a fun experience, particularly this Perseid meteor shower, because it's warm out, so you don't need to stay warm. Just need to fight the bugs and sleep. If you make plans to go to a lake or a mountaintop or a country place that's dark and spend a couple hours, you'll be rewarded. Your checklist will be like going to the beach. A lawn chair, maybe a blanket or sleeping bag, a pillow, radio, snacks, drinks, and binoculars. Always have binoculars with you to scan around a little bit. Yeah, you might miss a meteor that everybody catches looking through binoculars, but you're seeing some things that they're not looking at either. Don't go alone. Don't trespass, all right? Don't get on private property because though it is easier to ask for forgiveness sometimes than permission. And let your eyes dark adapt. And then avoid white lights. Don't go back to your car's interior lights. That'll ruin your night vision. I even have red cellophane over my car interior lights just for that purpose. And as for photographing a meteor, well, good luck. The best thing to do is just take a lot of photos. A lot of professionals will put their camera on automatic mode, which you can look up at an interval and have it open for 30 seconds. And it takes that image off and then waits 5 seconds and then takes another 30-second image. That's how photographers get these images like this. They don't have the lens open for an hour or 2 hours. They're open for 30 seconds, and then they combine all these pictures together. So get outside and see some shooting stars. You won't be disappointed. I'm going to find a spot. There you go. Another example of what we're looking at as these stars are coming at you from a focal point, a radiant that bears the name of the constellation that they emanate from. And this one, of course, the Perseid Meteor Shower. So if you would happen to see a meteor fall from the sky and land near you and you go over to it, all right, you would more inclined to, if you looked at it, it would probably have frost covering it, okay, from being burned up in the sky instantly. But that meteor is cold, all right? It is super cold inside because it has been in 200 below zero darkness of our solar system for who knows how many millions of years. And here it is it laying before you. All right, not many people see fresh meteors that fall, but I've seen a few pictures that they have frost around them on there. So hope that all of you have enjoyed being a little star curious today as we're talking about meteors. And thank you for watching. Mitchell Rothman at Man Space. Dean Babcock's watching. Mark Thiel, good to see your name again. Tommy Usiak, Doug Forrest, Carlton Bailey, Dave Stengy, and Tom Colbert. And as I end our show today, I wanted to mention that our good friend Gary Gerald in Georgia been hit hard, and they're maybe get a foot of rain from this hurricane that's roared through Florida on the west coast. So I'm thinking of you, Gary Gerald, and your wife Donnie, and all your beautiful Vidalia onion and peanut crops up there. Hope that they don't get damaged, as this was the planting season, Gary told me. So he'll be in town next week. He said maybe we'll get him on another edition of Stay Curious, like he talked on a year ago. Gary Gerald talked about GPS and farming, how important it is to him there. So, like I said, I'm going to be out getting me some shooting stars, making a wish, and putting one in my pocket for a rainy day. I hope you get out and do the same. We've got a guest on Wednesday. Mike Mungo's going to be here. He's quite an influencer, literally around the world. You're going to enjoy a conversation with Mike. We're going to hit the shuttles of the month of August and get another guest or two figured out here this week. Maybe hear from Marty Winkel, who's on vacation and intends to check in with us from the Cradle of Aviation, a wonderful museum up there in Long Island that the Grumman workers are honored in there with their lunar modules. So until tomorrow, I'm Marquette saying, yep, I'm randomly talking about stargazing, and hope that you can get out and see some shooting stars this weekend and get some moonshine in your eyes there, as that beautiful crescent moon is irresistible. In fact, I'm going to have a sip and go look for it right now. As I say, great job, Logan, running the board, and we'll see you again to bridge the space between us. Ah, now I'm relaxed.